Hello friends, it's Chari. Today I have a really fun card that uses the treat card and the spring basket to make a fun flower cart. So I'm using spring basket. I really love the little flowers in this. I'm also using the spring basket birthday add-on. I'll be using the original treat cart as well as the new smoothies and juice add-on. And then I've pulled out a couple more sets for some things to add to my scene. So here I have Carrot About You, and also some bunny for that cute little watering can. So I've stamped everything in my jet black ink on some white cardstock so I can do Copic coloring with my alcohol markers. And I am going to start out with my flowers. Now I really want to have these flowers be the great pops of color that we know a flower cart is. So of course my daffodils will be yellow. The tulips are a great opportunity to pull in pinks and reds and purples, which you're going to see me do here in just a little bit as well. I don't want to color all my tulips exactly the same, so I'm coloring some purples and some pinks. For this group of daisies, I'll keep it a little more traditional just with some yellow centers and leave the petals white. For the other group of daisies, I decided to color them pink, and I'm going to give them some yellow centers as well. Now I did color the daisies with the little happy birthday sign, but I didn't like the colors, so I will re-stamp that one and color them a little different, which you'll see when I start to assemble my card. For the leaves, I'm using 2 shades of green for all of the leaves just to give them a little bit of variation. I colored the tulip leaves and the daisy leaves all the same. And then for the daffodils, I will pull out a darker green and make them a little bit different. So now I have 2 shades of greens with my leaves. For my little bunny here, I wanted to color him a creamy color at first, and then I decided no, I wanted to make him brown so that he stood out and looked a little different. And so I just colored right over that creamy brown color with my E70s. And that I will just blend out with that lightest, and then I can go back and add some shadows as I need to. For the inside of his ear and his nose, I'll use an R11, which is a pale pink color. And I'm just leaving his tail white, which you're actually not even going to see because he is going to be tucked behind a bunch of flowers. For the watering can, I decided to make it gray for this, but you're going to see I will make some tags at the end and I use a different color for the watering can. I think that's a really good opportunity to pull in other colors as well. The bow and the butterflies are from the spring basket stamp set, and I'm just coloring those in some bright colors too that match my flowers. And then I have my treat cart menu board stamped out here. I am not actually going to stamp a menu on it because I kind of want it to be buried in the flowers a little bit, but I'm coloring it in browns like it's stained, and I wanted it to look like a chalkboard. So I'm pulling in that N6, that darker gray, to make it look like a chalkboard. And I will actually do the same with that little sign you see down there. That little sign is from the Carrot About You stamp set. And I just think that these chalkboard signs are the perfect complement to a flower cart. Now I also have this little wagon that's from Cared About You. You could also use the little wagon from Hey There Hayrides. I think that would be perfect. I was just looking for other ways to put my flowers or other things to put my flowers in. There's also a really great kind of flower bed in the Some Bunny stamp set, but my card was only so big, so I had to make some choices about what I wanted to use. For my treat card, I'm only coloring the wheels and the elements above and below that stripe. I'm going to do some paper piecing with pattern paper for the canopy at the top and that big wide stripe on the flower cart. So I just need to color all those elements around those pieces. And then I also have that cute little carrot at the bottom that is also from Cared About You, and I just thought it would be a fun way to pull in a pop of orange on this card. Now that I think about it, it would be really fun to add some veggie happy veggies with our flowers and make a farmer's market cart. Now to work on my chalkboards. To put some text or some images on this, I want to white emboss so that it looks like chalk. So I will use my anti-static powder tool to get rid of all that static on there. For the menu board, I decided to keep it really simple and just stamp this cute little heart that is part of the spring basket stamp set. You could stamp anything on this menu board that you wanted that fit perfectly with your little scene. But I am just going to put this little heart on here just to keep this part of the scene a little more simplified. For the little sign, there are some sentiments in the Spring Basket birthday add-on, and so I'm using the Hop Hop Hooray sentiment for my cute little sign. This is going to go beside the bunny rabbit. Now I can cut these out with the coordinating dies. I just wanted to do my embossing before I cut it out so I had a little more paper to hold on to while I did my heat embossing. For the little heart, I'm just coloring this in with a colored pencil. This is a great opportunity to add some color to a chalkboard, like some colored chalk. And then now I'm going to focus on my treat card. I left those spaces empty because I knew I wanted to paper piece some pattern paper in there. And I'm just trying to decide which of these Bitsy Bloom patterns works perfectly. I honestly decided to keep it simple and do both of them out of the blue with the little daisies. I also think all those fun hatching patterns would be great for this as well. I just knew I had a lot going on with all the flowers on this card, so I wanted to keep it a little more toned down. So I'm just stamping the canopy and that stripe onto a scrap piece of paper, and I'm going to cut these out. You can see my stamping on that bottom part wasn't perfect, but it's not really necessary because I just need those lines as a guide to cut out that stripe around that little wheel, and then I can add this to my treat cart, and now we have this fun kind of pattern paper wrap around. And then I'm going to do the same with the canopy as well. So I'm just fussy cutting right around that image, and I will just glue this right to the top. And now we have this super adorable little treat cart with that pattern paper. I just love it. I think it's so much fun. Now for my background, I've used the largest of the outside in stitch rectangles to cut a piece of spiffy speckles. This will be my sky. And then for my ground, I'm actually using the green flower paper from Bitsy Blooms. I think this is a really great paper for grass because the pattern is really nice and subtle with just the white flowers. So I have a strip of this that I will cut with that same outside in stitch rectangle. So I have that stitching detail across the bottom and on the sides. And then I'm just lining up one of these simple stitched hillsides to cut the top. I thought about doing grass, but I realized that I'm going to cover up a lot of the top of this hillside with all these flowers and images, so the simple stitched hillside is going to work perfectly. For my sentiment, I am just going to stamp it along the bottom in the grass, and I'm using Henry's Build a Sentiment bunny puns to build the sentiment that says, wishing you a happy day. There's a lot of really fun sentiments in this set, and combining it with the other Henry's Build a Sentiment sets, you can write pretty much anything you want. So I just stamped that sentiment along the bottom in some crisp black ink so it will stand out, and I am adhering that to my back panel of spiffy speckles. And now I will put the whole thing onto a card base, and we have that nice white frame around it since we used that outside in stitched rectangle. Now for the fun part, it's time to build our flower cart scene. So I'm just arranging my flowers where I want them to be. I did kind of think this out ahead of time a little bit, and that's how I knew where I wanted my colors to go. So I'm just laying them out about where they're going to be. And we will start adding these flowers to the things that they live in or the vessels that they live in. So first off, I have my treat cart, and I wanted to put that happy birthday, which I recolored. I talked about that earlier. I just did the regular daisies, and I realized that this bouquet has daisies and little tulip buds, so that was a perfect opportunity to have two different colors. So I'm sticking the one in there with a happy birthday note, kind of popping out of the treat cart, and then I'm using the other daisy one to fill in to make it look really full. And I thought it would be really fun too to have the flowers overflowing everywhere, and so I have those tulips at the top. It's almost like the sign for the flowers, but it's not. It's just that there's so many flowers that they're everywhere. Now this might be my favorite part is this little watering can. So I just cut the top off of it, and I'll add a little bit of adhesive, and these flowers fit in here perfectly. And I'm just gonna pop them in front of the spout that comes out the side. And I just think this is the cutest little bouquet in a flowering can that I've ever seen. This is where I'm going to add my bow to complete this little bouquet, and I just think it's so cute. So there's 2 of my little assemblies, and then I need to put some flowers in this little wagon. And 2 of these flower bouquets or flower groupings fit in here perfectly. And this is almost like extra space. They have the cart, they have the wagon, they're sitting all their bouquets around. They've really decorated their space at the farmer's market with the flower cart. Now, I thought about covering up my menu board with my dandelions, or not dandelions, excuse me, daffodils, but I think that I ended up tucking them behind as well. So that's kind of how the layout is going to go. And then I can start to put all my pieces onto my card base. Now, I did want them to be popped up a little bit, so I'm going to use 2 thicknesses of foam. I'm starting out with some thin foam squares with my whole treat cart full of flowers, so it's popped up just a little bit. And then I'll use some regular thickness foam squares for the things that layer over in front of it. You could also just double up your foam squares if you wanted to have the same effect and you didn't have the thin ones. So for the little wagon here, I've got the thin foam square where it will overlap my treat cart, and then regular thickness foam squares to pop this up even more and give it lots of dimension in front of the treat cart. And this really does give a lot of dimension to this little scene. I just think it's so cute. Now this is going to give me a place to tuck my little sign behind there, and I will just put a thin foam square on the back of that and tuck the end down in there so it looks like it's coming out of the wagon. And I'm also going to put my little bunny back there as well. So for these flowers right on the outside edges, I'm actually going to tuck that square part that goes in the basket behind my little hillside so they look like they're growing out of the hill. So there are flowers everywhere on this card. And then for my little bunny, I'm going to tuck him in behind with the sign. Now moving on to the other side, I have the beautiful bouquet in the watering can, and this is going to overlap on the left side of my treat cart, just like my wagon did on the right side. So I need to support it with a thin foam square where it overlaps and regular thickness foam squares where it touches the card base. And I'm just kind of figuring out where those go because I do have that little handle to kind of navigate around. And I just think that's so cute. It's like they made the arrangements and set them out to decorate their treat cart or flower cart, I should say, at the farmer's market to entice you in to buy some flowers today. Then I'm adding my little menu board, tucking it in there. You can see that I'm going to cover it up a little bit, so it really doesn't matter what I stamped on there. And then finally, my last bit of daffodils will be tucked behind the hill on the left side. Now I can't forget the butterflies. Oh, and also that cute little carrot, which I think was the perfect little addition right here. It kind of filled that in and made the left side a little more full. And then for my butterflies, I thought it would be fun to make this one look like it is landing on top of the menu board. And then I have my little yellow one and my little purple one that I'll just add up in the sky. And I love how this card turned out. Now, of course, this is not done till we add some glitter, am I right? So let's add some stickles. I'm adding it to the butterfly wings, the bow on the watering can, and a little bit on the carrot. I didn't go too crazy with the glitter. I left all the flowers without glitter, and I just think that this turned out so pretty. I love it so much. But I went to bed, and the next morning I was like, let's make some tags using the same idea. So I colored and cut out the same things, and we're doing the exact same thing. We're going to make a bouquet in the watering can. This watering can I colored in a teal color. We're going to make this the birthday bouquet. Same thing I did with the tulips, just cut off the top, added the flowers, and then I will add that purple bow. And then, of course, we have the little wagon from Cared About You, and I'm adding some daffodils and some tulips with that little I love you sentiment. I do have those little butterflies. We'll use those here in a minute. But I made the tags using the stitched flower frame and the outside in stitched flower stackables. So I've cut the back part of the tag from the solid piece and I cut the front with the frame. Hindsight, I could have cut the front with the solid one as well, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And I realized I didn't really have enough space in that circle to fit the things I wanted to fit, so I ended up cutting a stitch circle that's 2 inches, and that's what I will layer over it. So you're never going to see the opening in the frame piece, so that's why I could have cut the front from the outside in stitch flower. Just thought I'd tell you that so you don't go, why in the world did you cut the front out of the frame? There's really no reason. I was just cutting things and playing with them. Now I did cut 2 versions of the leaves so I could layer them together, kind of sandwich them so that I have green on the front and the back. And I meant to sandwich these in between my 2 flowers that I laminated together, and I will remember to do that on my second one over here. But I'm just laminating the leaves so I have green on the front and back. And luckily my glue had not dried and I can tuck the 2 leaves in there. And then I have my white with the rainbow hatching for the back of my flower, and then that fun rainbow plaid for the front of my flower. So you're going to see me do the same thing to the other flower over here before we put the centers on and decorate them. So I have a big leaf and a small leaf. I'm going to laminate those 2 together with glue so it is green spiffy speckles on both sides. And I will do the same to the small leaf. And then before I glue my 2 flowers together, I'm going to go ahead and tuck the leaves in here where I want them to be. And I just think that this is a really fun addition to a flower shaped tag. You don't have to do the leaves, but it really makes it look like a flower. Then I can layer my solid piece that goes on the back. And I guess actually, in reality, you could have cut the front and the back both out of the frame as well, because we're going to cover up the circle in the middle. So I have 4 stitch circles cut. 2 are going to go in the back with the sentiment, which you're going to see me stamp here. I'm stamping happy birthday using the spring basket and the spring basket birthday add-on. You could stamp any sentiment you wanted on these tags. These are going to go on the back of the tags on that white with the rainbow hatching. And then for the front of the tags, I have 2 more colors that go with my rainbow plaid. I'm just going to go ahead and glue those in place. And I'm just laying a block on there to hold it flat while that liquid glue dries. And this is where I'm going to put those stamped images. So I will go ahead and punch my hole in one of the petals so that I know where the top of my tag is. And then I am taking those little images I assembled, the little bouquet in the watering can is going to go on one tag, and I'm going to pop that up with some thin foam squares for some extra dimension, and then I'll put the little wagon with the flower arrangements on the other tag. I think these rainbow plaid flowers turned out really pretty, but of course you could use any pattern paper that matches your project. And of course I have the little butterflies. I wasn't sure if I wanted them on there, but then I decided yes, they needed to be there, and I kind of like how it makes the little scene with the flowers kind of go out past the center of the tag. Then we need to add our happy birthday sentiments on the back, and you can see I'm putting my hole at the top so I know where the top of the flower is and I can make sure my sentiment is straight. Then to finish these tags off, we need a little bit of twine. I decided to go with white since I had so many colors going on, and I'm just going to cut a length of that, thread the 2 ends through the hole and then back through the loop, and then I'll tie a little knot at the top. And then once I have that knot tied, I'll just trim off those ends so they're a little shorter, and I will repeat the same process with that second tag. And of course, we're adding some glitter to these so that they match the card. So to the wheels of the wagon and the bow and the butterflies. And I just think these turned out so cute. It's really fun to take an idea like changing up the treat cart into a flower cart and kind of expanding that into some other projects as well. I think these would also make cute treat bags. Here's another look at the card and the tags I made today. I hope this has inspired you to look at your other stamp sets and see where you can take the beautiful spring basket flowers and add them to things you already have. Thank you so much for watching. Have an amazing day. Bye!